Hello. How's everybody?
Comments on this.
How far should we go back? Jesus. Might as well go from the beginning, I guess. See if we can handle them at 1.5.
Welcome to the emergency mobile stream. Apparently, every single time I go out of town, literally everything happens. Okay, I don't know. Who's planning this behind the scenes? Oh shit, sorry, my bad. No compression. All your ops got fucked. Did they? Well, hold on. Mizkif is not an op, alright? Or at least I don't think he is. He might be now, though. Okay. Some people are asking when the transcript is actually going to be posted online. I don't know if it's ever going to be posted because first of all, it costs $1,000. Somebody told me that or I think my lawyer told me that he said I should never repeat this publicly. But he didn't. No, I'm just kidding. Apparently, the way that court reporters make their money is by selling transcripts, is by having people pay for their work. So I don't know how ordinary or normal it is that
Interesting.
transcripts are posted publicly of big stuff like this. I don't know what the answer to that is. I'm not sure. Can't you just post it? Well, yeah, I mean, I think, I'm pretty sure I could. I bought it. I just don't know if that's considered rude or not. Kafka's in chat, I don't know. How long ago was this hearing? I have to find this transcript in my email, hold on. It's not like they're going to get more than just one sale, lol. Oh, my good friend Hamsterhawk. You dramatically underestimate my haters. It wouldn't surprise me if multiple Kiwi farmers pay money to... 1, 2, 3, mono. Where the fuck is this transcript? Also, as every day passes, I will be leaning in more on. I do actually think that Pixie did an elite level fucking scam for that give send go money. I'm 99% sure that her parents are able to front all of the money for this lawsuit, and she just collected that money so that she didn't have to stream or work or do anything, and she's just using it to go travel and do shit. But I say based, okay? Queen. That's queen life right there, okay? Okay, well, transcript hearing has attachment. Is it normal for only having 2 hearings after all this time? Nothing is normal. Well, well, no, I don't want to say that. Oh, here it is. I was going to say it's taking a long time because we both have made mistakes. Not really, though. Their side is just deeply unserious. I was going to say I could have went with a cheaper or a different law firm because I didn't realize how unserious. I don't know anything. I'm honest about it, though. I don't really know much about anything. But I assumed that I thought that like federal court and everything was like big boy court and law, and I didn't know how unserious and trolly the other side was, so. But they've also dragged their feet on everything because they have nothing. So this is all, they're just like playing the public relations game, trying to character assassinate me. Oh my god, they're trying, but, stuff is going to come out in motion soon. It's just unbelievable. My life is just a very unbelievable life, okay? I don't know why. Jesus. Does it seem like it's almost over? I don't know. I mean, it's been over for a long time. It's just a matter of like what level are they going to try to kick it to. Like I said, if we get lucky, before I would have said like 1% chance of winning on that, the motion to dismiss. Now it feels a lot higher, but we still probably shouldn't. The motion on the summary judgment is what we should win on. And then if they kick it to court, I mean, fuck it. At this point, let's go to trial. Let's have our fun, I guess. I don't know. Why not? My faith in the justice system, though, is at all-time highs every single time I open literally anything having to do with any of this. Because the judge is a fucking god, okay? Okay. Real quick, I'm just going to read the I'm going to read the judge's order relating to the sealing of the transcripts, okay?
All right, here we go.
Okay, coming down here. Hello. Maybe last one. What? Oh, yeah, we got this. Okay, we got it. Okay. Okay. Sorry if my background looks weird. I'm in your mom's house right now. Got it. All right. Order on plaintiff's motion to seal hearing transcript. So if you weren't aware of this, actually, you know what? It's going on over here. Okay, so back in June, plaintiff Jane Doe, very important to keep her identity private because of how private she's been through this whole ordeal. Okay. Plaintiff Jane Doe was seeking a preliminary injunction against me because either her or her law firm or both don't know what an injunction is for. They don't know what a party to a hearing is. They have no idea about anything. But the idea was is they wanted to enjoin or stop me from being able to post her video online, even though this would have been more appropriate for the person who actually posted it online, or maybe even other parties like Kiwi Farms that were hosting the video. But I don't know why they've decided it. Well, I do know why. It's because she wants that money. Wait, hello, test that. Oh. Wait, is this a oh, shit, I'm sorry. Is this a volume thing on the bottom of this? Oh, shit. Have I been fucking with this the whole time? I didn't realize. Sorry. Oh, my God. Okay. Is this okay? Okay, wait. Sorry. Okay, I'll stop touching it. My bad. Okay. Whoops.
Yo, who's in here? Is anyone watching? Like watching?
Okay. Okay, no fun fact for you now. Fuck you. Fuck this mic. Okay, I'm just kidding. Nope, wait, too loud. Hello. Okay. Stop. The top mutes. Yeah, I see that. Oh, sorry. There's no compressor. Okay. Hello. Okay. Stop. You have to... Are you supposed to speak up here? No, you speak down here. Shut up. Oh, maybe it can be further away from me. Hello, testing. Does this sound okay? Wait. Wait. Nope. Hello. Okay. This is good, right? There we go. Okay. Plaintiff was seeking first a temporary restraining order, then a preliminary injunction against me. We had a hearing for that. I would argue that the hearing went horribly for them. So they tried to seal it immediately after, even though it was a public hearing, which is dumb. But now we've finally gotten an order from the judge on whether or not that hearing can be sealed. Okay. What was the fun fact? In France, it is illegal to have unlimited refills and drinks. Did you know that? I didn't know that. That's crazy, chat. Okay. Show screen? I don't know if I can do that.
Wait, why? Why critical damage? What the hell happened?
There you go. That's what you get. That's what you're getting, okay? Okay. Order on plaintiff's motion to seal hearing transcript. This matter is before the court on plaintiff Jane Doe's motion to have a June 3rd, 2025 evidentiary hearing transcript filed under seal. Defendant timely responded, to which plaintiff timely replied. Accordingly, plaintiff's motion is ripe for disposition. Ripe meaning now is an appropriate time to make a ruling on it. After careful review of the motion, response, reply, relevant authority, and for the reasons discussed below, plaintiff's motion is, that's it. Hang on my glass on. Is that denied in part? Is that granted in part? Or is that just in bold letters? Denied. Just completely. Looks pretty bad. Yikes. Actually, I should have wiped this on. Hold on. My intellectual look. the dock in the middle and split your face on both sides. Yeah, is that what you want? Okay. We're in intellectual mode, okay? Hold on, sorry. Like this? Almost. Okay, I'm done. Stop. Okay. Okay. Background. On April 4th, 2025, the court held a hearing on plaintiff's motion for a temporary restraining order and preliminary injunction. At the hearing, District Judge Jacqueline Becerra denied plaintiff's motion for a TRO and referred the remainder of the motion to the undersigned for disposition. Accordingly, the undersigned held a hearing on June 3rd, 2025 on plaintiff's motion for preliminary injunction. That hearing lasted approximately 2.5 hours and saw both plaintiff and defendant testify as to the issues raised by plaintiff's motion. Additionally, the hearing was open to the public. There was no request made to the court either before or during the hearing to seal the courtroom in any fashion. And accordingly, there were others in attendance beyond the undersigned, court staff, the parties, and their counsel. Now, it's so crazy. Now, it could be that the judge is just a massive fan of mine and somehow I'm rigging the whole thing, because I feel like I've said all of these things multiple times, and all of the Kiwi Farms lawyers said it didn't matter, but if you want to have something sealed, it's important to get things sealed before you have the thing happen. I don't think that the court looks fondly upon people playing with the process where they're trying to like seal shit in order to hide stuff from the public when it's obvious that that's the intention. If you want to have a closed door hearing, you can make that statement ahead of time. You want to have a hearing, we want it to be under seal, and then you set that up. You don't have a hearing and then try to seal it afterwards because you think it went bad for you, especially by making bullshit excuses for it. But that's just my impression. I could be retarded, and maybe the judge is also wrong, and the Kiwi Farms people are right. You know, possible. Who knows? Plaintiff, however, filed a motion to seal the hearing transcript, here referred to as the transcript, citing the existence of highly sensitive, private, and confidential information, including personal details with regards to the identity of Ms. Doe, details concerning Ms. Doe's harm and suffering because of defendant's actions, and sexually explicit content. The filing of the transcript indeed incited much fervor to the end of a concerned call from the court reporter regarding next steps. Given plaintiff's allegations as to potential harm resulting from the testimony, a then lack of an existing protective order governing the parties' actions as to, for example, a procedure for dealing with inadvertently disclosed confidential information, were there any, and a litany of then recently filed motions, including for a gag order tangentially related to elements of the parties' testimony, the court granted in part plaintiff's motion to seal, pending further order of the court. Yeah, so it's just saying there's been a lot of back and forth, basically, about whether or not to seal or not seal this, and yeah, okay. In the intervening period, we've addressed several of the parties' outstanding motions, and, now being well acquainted with the equities of the case, issued the foreshadowed further order of the court. Now, I like it whenever the judge writes on stuff because I feel more sane, because I feel like opposing counsel is crazy, Joan. I'm talking about you, okay? Despite all of her love letters that she writes to me and every motion that she files on behalf of her client, who I assume is paying, I feel like their arguments are just unhinged. I feel like they're just insane arguments. I feel like this statement of now being well acquainted with the equities of the case, every time I see the judge write on this, I feel like they're continually coming down the other side. And now being well acquainted with the equities of the case makes me feel like he's even more familiar now with everything going on here. And they don't stop coming, they don't stop coming, the rulings. Okay. Applicable principles and law. Pursuant to the... What is this guy? I can't tell if he's riffing or this is stuff he's reading. I always riff. What are you talking about? And then I made a really funny joke at court, and then the judge looked at me, and then he's... No, I'm just kidding. Stop. Okay. I'm reading the ruling now. Okay. Pursuant to the local rules of the Southern District of Florida, unless otherwise provided by law, court rule, or court order, proceedings in the United States District Court are public, and court filings are matters of public record. The general public possesses a common law right to access judicial records, and judicial records are presumed to be public documents. Well-established 11th Circuit case law protects this common law right because once a matter is brought before a court for resolution, it is no longer solely the party's case, but also the public's case. So this is the thing I've been saying over and over and over again. Pixie wants to do all this stuff like in the shadows and have everything sealed and everybody anonymous and everything redacted. It's like, bro, for like a Substack, okay, you can do whatever you want, but like if you want to go to court, well, these are like public filings. This is like public interest now. Like you can't hide everything over and over again. Like you have to like we're in court now. It's time to be adults, you know. Analysis. Based on these rules and principles, when a party orders a transcript of a hearing from the court reporter, transcripts filed on the docket are presumptively public judicial documents. As such, they become part of the public record in a case, and accessible to the public like any other public document. The motion here seeks to alter that rule for this filing. Thus, the movant has the burden to overcome this presumptive right of access to the filed transcript. So the movant is the person who files a motion, because you're the mover, the movant, right? And then presumptively, everything is public, so you have to make an argument for why should this thing not be public. Thus, plaintiff has the burden of showing good cause why the right of access should be limited. Thus, a movement must make a specific showing of a compelling cause, as opposed to relying on stereotyped or conclusory statements. Oh no, so you have to make an actual argument. You can't just, write random shit. Good luck. Oh, esports Batman, already salty. One of the many lawyers who has been proven to be a total fucking legal retard with regards to this. But I like it. How mad that every quote-unquote lawyer on the internet that was following this case is so brain broken by me. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the fuckboy chain. I don't know if it's the Ray-Bans auto sunglass featured prescription lenses. Okay, I don't know if it's my stylish DTG merch, okay? I don't know if it's my 38-inch arms. I don't know what it is, but something just triggers the fuck out of you guys, and it breaks your brains, and I'm here for it. I love it, okay? Wait. Sorry, I was seeing if I could have cat ears, but I don't have those. That's okay. We'll live. Okay. Thus, okay. Plaintiff relies primarily on 3 cases to support her assertion that the subject matter of the transcript is traditionally considered private, not public, none of which aid plaintiff's case here, or for that matter, are binding on us. Okay, so I told you over and over again when these guys file motions, I always read the underlying cases because I'm curious, okay? And none of the cases ever apply. Like, none of the shit they cite, I'm like, this has nothing to do with what you guys are talking about. And the judge reads cases too, and I love that. Number 1. Number 2, I think that generally speaking, when it comes to federal court, it's nice if you can cite from your from the particular district you're in, or at the very least you want to cite in the circuit that you're in. Now you don't have to cite from you could cite from other circuits, but like generally speaking, I think the particular circuits respect their stuff more than anybody else's because it's their circuit, right? And that's how the court system in the United States works, So Florida is in the 11th Circuit, I believe, and so you want to cite ideally 11th Circuit cases when you're talking about stuff that you want to apply in the court area that you're filing your case in, Okay. First, okay, so now the judge is going through the cases these lawyers cited, okay. First, in U.S. versus Amadeo, a RICO action, the Second Circuit considered whether a portion of a report created by a court officer appointed pursuant to a consent decree to investigate allegations of corruption in a local union was improperly unsealed. Plaintiff cites Amadeo for the proposition that, quote, financial records of a wholly owned business, family affairs, embarrassing conduct with no public ramifications, and similar matters will weigh more heavily against access than conduct affecting a substantial portion of the public, end quote. Amadeo ultimately concluded the report had only a marginal relationship to the performance of Article 3 functions, as it was not filed in connection with a request for action by the district court. And further, the privacy interest in question was the attorney-client privilege, which the clients had, in effect, waived by way of the consent decree. But Amadeo is inopposite. As to the point of, inopposite I think is lawyer fancy speak for, I think it says the opposite of what you wanted to say, or it's standing on the other side of what you wanted to say, right? I believe. As to the point of embarrassing conduct with no public ramifications and similar matters, which we assume by process of elimination in the phraseology plaintiff was emphasizing and citing Amadeo, that is not what is before us here. And this conclusion is supported by other cases plaintiff cites. Chief among those other cases is U.S. v. Kravitz. In Kravitz, the First Circuit considered a journalist's appeal of a motion to unseal certain records which had been denied by the district court because the documents in question contain matters that are predominantly personal to Kravitz and there is not apparent justification for their general publication. As to the defendant's medical records, the court acknowledged its sensitivity to the fact that medical documentation may contain information beyond the diagnosis and treatment information that is likely to form the basis of a plea or grant of leniency, such as a history of drug use or testing for sexually transmitted diseases, and thus that the presence of such information may weigh more heavily against public access. But Kravitz also noted in remanding that subjective remarks about a patient's demeanor, character, and mental state are sometimes a part of the record. Wait, am I missing any good footnotes? Oh, no. Okay. This is a quote from that case. Oh, actually, we'll read this, I guess. Leviton's claim of privacy in his medical records, however, may lose some force in light of his prior publication of the information that he now seeks to protect. Remember, okay, the general claim that is made is don't be public, don't talk publicly about your case, because the reason is, especially if you're not a lawyer, and even if you are a lawyer, you don't know what you're saying publicly that might come back to bite you in the ass later on. One of the big criticisms that I gave of Pixie before anything was when she published that Substack against me, she basically totally closed the door on ever reaching any kind of a settlement with me, because this is a civil case. The only thing that's going to come out of this is civil stuff.
Hey, buddy.
The only thing, more than you even know, the only thing that will come out of this is civil stuff, which means money. That's all it's going to cost me. So if you write a Substack and you are attacking the fuck out of me, writing the most unhinged shit possible, well, the only thing I can lose in court is money. You've already cost me money on your Substack. Well, now I'm never settling. What is the incentive that I ever have to settle that case? So now you fucked yourself there. And you got to be careful because stuff that you're publicizing, in case you're trying to keep everything private, is going to hurt your privacy claims and other claims you're going to make later on down the road, right? So this is not good. Don't do this. Not a good thing. But, okay. So the quote from here is, the interest in privacy fade when the information involved already appears on the public record. And then this case noting that prior publicity weighs strongly against sealing. If Pixie would have sued me without making that Substack first, and it would have been private, she would have had much stronger privacy claims here. But she's trying to have it both ways. She's trying to milk the cow on, I want all the publicity possible so that I can extort, blackmail, and bury Steven if I can. But I also want everything in court to be private as possible. You can't have it both ways. You have to pick. You can't do that. In his public sentencing hearing, he articulated not only the full panoply of ailments from which he suffers, but also the dire predictions for his health should he fail to take immediate steps to improve his condition. So this is all about another case, okay? All right. Importantly, here, plaintiff's request that the court seal the transcript is ostensibly to protect deeply private, sexually explicit, and mental health-related testimony from being broadcast over 1 million online followers by a political streamer who has a documented pattern of weaponizing public proceedings for harassment, monetization, and spectacle. Okay, so number one, with all caps, fuck you, okay? For you to weaponize, I'm speaking right now to Jane Doe, okay? For Jane Doe to weaponize the fuck out of her Substack and now the court system, which it really is, which is ironic, given that she says she wants to go to law school, right? For her personal petty squabbles that are being funded by mom and dad after scamming the public for money for it, for her to weaponize all of that and then cry when I just want to read my own public filings, which is my right as a public citizen because you filed a federal lawsuit in public court about it, is crazy that I'm weaponizing public proceedings by reading them. Capital F, fuck you, okay?
Yeah, I mean...
One, as compared to Kravitz and to the court's knowledge, the transcript does not contain any discussion about plaintiff's medical records or anything to do with plaintiff seeing or being treated by a physician or other mental health professional. So the emphasis in Kravitz that medical documentation may contain sensitive information is inapplicable here. Second, plaintiff has, in several public filings, been quite forthcoming about the mental health and other effects of the events surrounding the video, and has been from the start. For instance, as to mental health, plaintiff's original and operative complaints both contain the same passages regarding her struggles. Compare the very first complaint. Plaintiff feels increasingly humiliated, mortified, and depressed, and starts feeling suicidal on or about December 11th, 2024. She starts writing suicide notes. Look, that's so cute, because my birthday is December 12th. She wanted to have her extortion of me ready for my birthday. How nice. Plaintiff messages Bonnell and tells him that she is, quote, just tired of living anymore. It's a matter of time until my family discovers what happened. I feel like the best thing to do is for me to kill myself and schedule a post just detailing my feelings on what happened to try and ensure a situation like this doesn't happen again, end quote. Later on, there was a $1 million demand for money tied to this, by the way. Every fucking retard, Kelly Jean, I'm sorry included, that's like, Destiny should have just settled with her. Destiny should have just settled this before I went to court. I am never paying $1 million out to a blackmail extortion attempt, okay? Fuck you, all right? And $1 million. Remember, the most that she's qualified for, the most she can win in this case is like 150K. That's the, like, statutory cap, all right? But... whatever. What she sued me, by the way, the demand letter was for $15 million, but what,
yeah,
you know, it is what it is.
Was a crazy
and
number.
then 19, plaintiff tells defendant's close friend about her suicidal thoughts, that she cannot bear the humiliation and harassment she is enduring, and that she wants to ensure Bonnell never does this to her or anyone else ever
Thanks,
again.
blue collared. I hope
Item
so
21,
too,
plaintiff
buddy.
continues feeling depressed and suicidal. Item 22, same as the complaint. And then here, the original plan was basically for me to commit suicide and schedule a note for after I
How
died,
you doing?
detailing what
It's
Stephen
good
had
to
done,
see
and
ya.
hoping that everybody would forever know what he did, and be able to stay away from him, and be able to be more wary and cautious. Again, tied with a demand for money. This is textbook extortion, by the way, but... The original complaint has been live on the public docket for many months. The plaintiff perhaps added additional characterizing details, for example, support from her friends, or more emphasis on why she experienced such thoughts, during the June 3rd, 2025 hearing, does not change the fact that the information has already been made publicly available through plaintiff's own filings. What's more, the transcript is one of a public hearing, so plaintiff had not only published this information in her earlier pleadings, but also was, in the moment, speaking in a public forum. And then footnote 3, and as to things of a deeply private or sexually explicit nature, plaintiff has not raised any specific elements of the transcript in her argument, but it merits noting that she has also long publicly stated many of these allegations and or included similar factual information in her briefing. Compare in the complaint allegations regarding plaintiff's prior relationship experience with docket item 90, testimony regarding plaintiff's prior relationship experience and perception of defendant prior to their sexual encounter, and then in docket number 21, unsworn statement of Ms. Brooke recounting allegedly receiving messages of a sexual nature from defendant. Okay. Basically, you're adding all this stuff to your court filings, and it's undercutting your argument that you want stuff to be sealed or private, which is, again, a thing I've said over and over again. And, relatedly, another of plaintiff's cited cases, Prospero versus Prescott, is similarly unavailing. Prospero, ooh, typo. That's okay. We love our judge, even if he makes typos. He's okay. Prospero regards a motion to exclude expert testimony, where defendants argued that that didn't happen. Sorry, hello? I don't know why that just happened. Hello? Okay, weird. Okay, mic glitch there.
Jeez.
Prospero regards a motion to exclude expert testimony, where defendant argued that certain of the information in the expert's testimony, including content from a treating physician's deposition, was designated confidential under the existing protective order. At the time of the hearing, there was no existing protective order, save a recently filed unright motion for protective order governing discovery. Order granting in part, motion for protective order governing discovery, detailing breakdown communications. So this is basically saying we had the hearing, there was no protective order in place. Like, what do you, like, hello? Yeah. But even then, none of the protective orders regarding discovery, not plaintiff's draft, not defendant's draft, and not the final version entered by the court, are designed to shield in its entirety a public court transcript, nor should they be, because this is public court. We're here for, this is a public court filing, okay? Where were we? Footnote 4 was, plaintiff's last main state case as to the nature of the material discussed is also inapt. This is a 2001 case they cited. This regards a petition filed in the public docket in contravention of 2 federal statutes that plainly prohibit the FEC from disclosing information concerning ongoing investigations under any circumstance without the written consent of the subject of the investigation. So they're just trying to make all these arguments like, well, look, it was sealed here, but like I'm guessing in this case, well, no, this was sealed because it was an ongoing investigation by the FEC or something, right? And then for footnote 5, plaintiff has also filed a motion for protective order governing public commentary by trial participants, but that regards public extrajudicial statements, so we will not address it for the purpose of deciding on plaintiff's motion to seal the transcript. Okay. Protective orders until Federal Rule of Civil Procedure 26C minimize abuse of the discovery process. By the way, an abuse of the discovery process might be including fake or damning material in your filings that have nothing to do with your court case, but are just trying to slander or defame defendant. Just saying, just randomly putting that out there, you know, maybe. That might be abuse of the discovery process. Maybe. Now, you know, that's not my call to make, but... Because parties often resist the exchange of confidential information, parties regularly agree, and courts often agree, that discovery information will remain private. This is because while there is no question that the press and the public jointly possess a common law right to inspect and copy judicial records and public documents, private documents collected during discovery are not judicial records. Thus, the common law right of access does not extend information collected through discovery, which is not a matter of public record. So what this means is that, like, so me and her, well, only me because they haven't given me fucking anything, but in discovery you're supposed to trade information to the other party so that they can build their case and figure out what to do. That's not necessarily public information until it shows up like in a court filing somewhere, right? On June 3rd, 2025, as of the June 3rd, 2025 hearing, the parties had apparently agreed to freeze discovery pending the court's ruling on plaintiff's motion for protective order governing discovery. While there was an unright motion on the docket, there was no enter protective order governing discovery or any confidential information as of the June 3rd, 2025 hearing, so there was no discovery information that at the time could have been seen as having been designated as confidential under such an order. The transcript also does not reflect any inadvertent references to plaintiff's name or particular identifying information that could cause her to be personally identified. They lied when they said that, as evidenced by the fact that there are no objections or other expressed concerns to that effect. The court allowing the use of Jane Doe for confidentiality at hearing and clarifying for plaintiff that she did not say her name at the hearing beyond Jane Doe, meaning that during the hearing we were being careful not to reveal somebody's name so that we wouldn't run into this issue. And though we disagree with plaintiff that any of her testimony at the hearing would be considered medical or treatment related in nature sufficient to merit a privacy claim, even that information which plaintiff alleges was private could already at that point be found in briefing on the public docket. Plus, again, the June 3rd, 2025 hearing was public. Plaintiff's showing of good cause to seal the entire transcript thus falters. Though we agree that the entire case here is by its very nature sensitive, a federal judicial action has now been filed that, absent a compelling and specific showing, is now a matter of public record. Meaning, you wanted to file in big boy court, so now we're at court. This is public now. You don't get to hide and make everything private and anonymous and redacted and sealed. Like, we're in public, okay? Accordingly, plaintiff's motion to seal the entire transcript must be denied as good cause of a compelling and specific nature has not been persuasively shown. Conclusion: for the foregoing reasons, plaintiff's motion to seal is denied. Okay. Now we have lay hearing.
Lay hearing.
I won't comment on this. I'll just read it down. I'm gonna give you my thoughts as we go through. Destiny, reply to The Hague as well as up. They say you waived your right in a meet and confer because of an email. It's a joke. I'm so happy. Every time the judge writes something, I'm so happy. God, I'm so happy. Beth, thank you for the 20 gifted subs. This hearing was just so wacky, dudes. Destiny, has she said anything new about this whole thing? No, once I started going harder accusing her of scamming everybody on her Give Send Go, she blocked me again on Twitter. They're still trying to go with the Hague shit? Yeah, it's not Hague, it's Hagel Mary. Get it? Ah, stop. But yeah, these are like Hail Marys. Ignore that last pun. Okay. Can you clarify your vague post? Nope, but it'll start showing up soon. And there's some stuff that's been in these filings that will never show up again. But I can't say much more. We'll see. I have to wait. I will say that all of it, there are a whole lot of people who should be unbelievably ashamed of themselves. But we'll get there. Okay. So the following procedures were held. Okay. There's our court hearing from June 3rd this year. The Deputy Clerk of the United States District Court is now in session. The Honorable Edwin G. Torres presiding. Calling case Doe Bonnell. Case number, blah, blah, blah. Okay. What was this hearing in regard to? This is our preliminary injunction hearing. Counsel, please state your appearance, starting with the plaintiff. Mr. Lage, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but this is Pixie's lawyer. Joan Peters did not show up for this hearing. I don't know why, but... Good morning, Your Honor. Gus Lage, Carlos Garcia Perez, law clerk, Ms. Garcia, and the plaintiff, Jane Doe, is present. Mr. Raskoff. Good morning, Your Honor. Bob Raskoff from the Bilzen-Sumberg firm, along with my colleague Patricia Patino, and our lead counsel from Los Angeles is Andrew Brettler from Burke Brettler. So for court stuff, in order for you to appear at the venue, you can't be from another state. Like somebody from California can't practice law in Florida unless they're licensed down there. However, if you get a law firm to sponsor you, what the law firm can do is have you file, it's a pro hac vice filing saying, I would like to appear down here, and then this other local law firm is sponsoring my appearance here. So the lead counsel in my case is the Brettler law firm from California, and then Raskoff and his law firm are the Florida-based law firm that's allowing them to come in, basically, right? Okay. Please do voices? No. Destiny, I'm begging you to actually research narcissistic abuse strategies. Your life will be so much better. Is that for me? I saw that some people are now claiming that I'm a narcissist. Okay, thank you. I love my psychoanalyzers. you explain like I'm 5 what a preliminary injunction is? So preliminary injunction, an injunction means that you're enjoining or stopping a party from engaging in certain behavior, future behavior. Preliminary injunction is before the trial has happened, you're in an extraordinary measure, you're asking the court to step in and stop somebody from doing some actions, to enjoin them from some behavior. But that's an extraordinary step, right? You're seeing a lot of TROs, temporary restraining orders, and preliminary injunctions right now in regards to the Trump administration, right? Yeah. Okay. Good morning, Your Honor. Okay, this is my lawyer, the Giga Chad. Okay. Good morning, Your Honor. Andrew Brettler from Burke Brettler. We're also joined by Mr. Bonnell, our client. The court. Anytime it says the court, I believe that's the judge speaking. Good morning. Everybody have a seat. There's a preliminary injunction hearing that was referred to me for disposition by Judge Becerra. I took a look at it and decided that I couldn't resolve it without probably hearing additional evidence or response from the parties. So that's why I scheduled the hearing when I did. So I appreciate everyone's cooperation. I think I scheduled it on Friday, short notice, so I appreciate everybody accommodating it to get the matter resolved. So let me turn to counsel for the plaintiff and tell me what witnesses, if any, you wish to call. Mr. Lage stands up, Pixie's lawyer. Your Honor, at this time, if Your Honor needs us to get further information, we would call the plaintiff and we would also call the defendant. Now keep in mind that for the first time yesterday, right, the day before this, they added Abby to the case. Now she didn't show up, obviously, but I believe it was the day before is when they threw on her statements saying that I sent her videos of Pixie. Never have. This is bullshit. There's a reason why she's dodging subpoenas and why they've offered no evidence of this, but this was the day before they had added her, so obviously she's not here or anything, but okay. And Destiny, amateur detractors are narcissists. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I don't think Pixie's a narcissist. I don't think any of the people involved in this are narcissists. Okay, so Pixie's lawyer. Your Honor, at this time, if Your Honor needs us to get further information, we would call the plaintiff. We would also call the defendant. The judge, okay. On behalf of the defendant, Andrew, we would call the defendant, Your Honor. The judge says, okay. So why don't we do that? Why don't we take the, we don't have to take all day for it, just because I've already reviewed the affidavit you filed in support and the declarations and the supplemental declarations, but I think it would be useful to get some of the information clarified on the record. So go ahead and call then, let you direct your client. Pixie's lawyer, Mr. Lage? Zepsi put it in chat, how do you pronounce it? Your Honor, in order to make this as efficient as possible, if there's areas of inquiry that you wish us to address, I'm happy to do so. The judge. In particular, I guess the issue is, one of the issues that I have is when did she become aware of the problem and what occurred in the interim between that awareness and when the lawsuit was filed? So remember, oh, it's like Lage, like G-A-G-U-E. Am I supposed to know how you pronounce that? Geju? I don't, okay, that didn't help at all, but thanks.
Gage?
Okay. Oh, Gage. Lage and Gage. Oh, you spelled Gage incorrectly. Fuck you. Okay. The reason why the judge... Do I need to explain why they're asking questions? I don't know how much... I feel like I've explained this a lot. I don't know how many people understand everything by now. The reason why he's asking is because if you're filing a TRO or a preliminary injunction, the reason why you're filing these things is because you're saying, like, this is an emergency. I need the court to step in right now because at the end of the day, our civil courts are courts of equitable relief, is the way you would say it, right? Basically, the court is here to make you whole again after a bad thing has happened, but if there's an ongoing thing, sometimes these ongoing things will cause irreparable harm. That's one of your qualifiers for having a preliminary injunction, is you have to show that the harm that's going to be caused if the defendant is allowed to continue to act in the way that he is so bad that the court can't help me. So like an example of this might be, let's say me and somebody else recorded a porn video and I'm going to publish it and I want to publish it and they're saying, no, I don't want that person to publish it, but I haven't published it yet, okay? If I haven't published it yet and I'm going to, you might file like a TRO or a preliminary injunction saying, he can't be allowed to publish this while we do the court case because let's say that he publishes it and then we do the court case, well, I'm fucked. I can't, like, you can pay me money, but I don't ever want this out there. This is irreparable harm, like I'm fucked. There's no way, you know? So that would be like an example, and you can think of other things too, but basically anything that would make the court incapable of resolving an issue or making somebody whole, a party whole again after a given dispute or claim. Okay. Her lawyer says, very well, Your Honor.
Yes,
at this time, we
did.
call Jane Doe to the stand. The judge says, okay.
did say
The deputy clerk
Jane.
requests, please state your full name and spell your last name for the record, please. Her lawyer says, Your Honor, for purposes of confidentiality, can we continue to refer to her as Jane Doe? The judge says, yes, for the purposes of this hearing, that's fine. Her lawyer says, very well, thank you. Pixie says, sorry to clarify, do I say my real name now? The judge says, no, the court reporter will know. Pixie says, Jane Doe. The judge says, thank you. Thereupon, Jane Doe, having been first duly sworn, was examined and testified as follows. Direct examination means that your own lawyer is asking you questions. A cross-examination is when the opposing counsel lawyer is asking you questions. Okay, so this is direct examination. Her lawyer is asking her questions to get stuff on the record. Okay. So her lawyer, Miss Doe, do you know the defendant? Yes. And how is it that you know the defendant? He was my friend for around 5 or 6 years. Okay. Where is it that you first met the defendant? I first met him in Florida, but I knew about him online beforehand. We had a couple of debates and conversations privately. When we're speaking about the defendant, who is the defendant? Stephen Kenneth Bonnell, Destiny. So this is her first lie. I am Stephen Kenneth Bonnell the second. My dad is Stephen Kenneth Bonnell. Okay, just saying. Just kidding. That's not that important. But okay, can you point him out for us, please?
What up,
yeah,
Allie?
The individual with the
Welcome.
banging blue suit and amazingly fluffy curly brown hair. Yes, that is me. True. And as a result of your conversations with Mr. Bonnell, did you at some point have an intimate relationship with Mr. Bonnell? Yes. All right. Was that? Where did that intimate rendezvous take place? In Miami, Florida. And what was the date of that rendezvous? I believe it was around September
The
of
tea
what
is
year?
happening.
2020 or 2021. It's da-da-da. Okay, I just want to say on a
You're
personal matter,
early
okay?
on in
So
the
I was
tea.
incredibly stressed for this hearing. Just 'cause I've never obviously done a court hearing before. Obviously, I don't want to screw anything up.
There's
Okay,
plenty
I read
of
all of my
tea still
declarations.
coming.
I reread tons of our chat logs. I went over so much info for this that I was ready.
Wait, which
the fact
tea?
that she shows up and doesn't fucking know anything about what the fuck we're in court
My tea or his tea?
for? How do you not know the
Or the
date that we met?
Mizkif
This is all
tea. There's
information.
a
You
lot
still have
of
this in your
tea.
DMs. I can't delete your side of it. I just want to say that triggered the fuck out of me, but whatever. Yeah, that's all a joke to her. Okay, I guess. The judge says, So her lawyer was going to ask another question leading up to, and then the judge intervenes and he says, when did you first meet or talk with Mr. Bonnell? And then Pixie says, posture? No, fuck you. Pixie says, I talked to him. I started around 2020. I had just transferred universities and I was like lonely. So I was like, I'm going to live stream and see if I can make friends that way. And because my family is inherently very political, I started talking politics and then connected with Mr. Bonnell.
You 2 nickels,
and then her lawyer asks,
it's weird that
leading up to your intimate rendezvous with Mr. Bonnell, had you had conversations or messaging in relation to that upcoming rendezvous?
What is that from?
Yeah, we talked about it beforehand. We had a lot of conversations about consent and the importance of consent. I was not super sexually experienced, so I was very afraid of like accidentally leading somebody on or getting sexually assaulted. So we had a bunch of conversations about consent beforehand.
Storm.
Okay. Well, when you say that you had conversations about consent, did you have conversations about consent relating to dissemination of information relating to your rendezvous? Well, I told him ahead of time that I wanted to keep things really private. I didn't want people in general to know about our sexual encounter, that I didn't want that information to be, like, out in public, stuff like that, okay? I mean, it's all, we've already done this here. I don't care about this anymore. I don't care about this, guys, in terms of it. But I will say that, like, if I was her lawyer going into this, okay, so there's 2 things. One, when you're being asked to do a deposition or give testimony, don't speculate. If you don't know the answer to a thing, then don't answer. Okay. Number 1. Number 2, answer only what you're asked. Don't give a whole bunch more information.
I never really watched Phineas and Ferb. I feel like it's from something else
that you say that can be used to impeach your character. To a contradiction, something else to question what you're saying, right? Okay. Number 2. Now I would say number 3. I don't think this should matter as much. You should keep it in mind, but as long as you're not lying, it should matter. Okay. But number 3.
Oh, I need more magnetized.
If you are going to court for a claim, you need to be locked in on what that claim is, and you need to very clearly state what you think the violation of that claim was every single time. One thing you'll notice is so if I was, now you can't tell your client to say this, but if I was going to testify, okay, to a thing where I think the other person did like a crime or a bad action against me, I would be crystal clear every single time. I never wanted any of this shared with anybody. I did not want my video shared with anybody. I never gave permission to share this with anybody. That would be my claim every single time, okay? You don't want to skirt around this language because this is the sole claim that you have in federal court, and this should be the most important part of your case. Just saying, keep that in mind, okay? I didn't want that information to be like out in public, stuff like that. The lawyer said, why? She said, his community, and not just his community, but to be fair, the internet can be like a really vicious place, and I didn't want people to claim that, like, oh, he was only being nice to me because he wanted to sleep with me, because we would debate online politically, so we would go back and forth on subjects, and I didn't want people to just claim, like, oh no, he's just being nice to you for that, instead of, like, evaluating my arguments on the merits of what they are. Then the judge interrupts, and the judge says, now, what do you mean about his community? Pixie says, he's a live streamer, so he has a large platform of a lot of followers. They refer to themselves as DGG. The judge says, as what? She says, DGG. That's their community name. The judge says, DGG? You mean like Yi wins? No, I'm just kidding. Judge says, DGG? She says, yes. And there are people who follow him, who really agree with his ideas, thinks he's, like, super cool, and yeah, try to support him and his endeavors. And then her lawyer says, well, when we're talking about the size of that community, how big is the community that follows Mr. Bonnell? She says, well, he has over 840,000 subscribers on YouTube, and that's just one of his platforms. How many platforms is Mr. Bonnell on that you're aware of? He's on Kick, Instagram, YouTube, and I think he's doing TikTok as well. Do you have any knowledge as to whether streaming is the main source of revenue for Mr. Bonnell? Yeah, and I'm under the impression that live streaming is his main source of revenue. Now, what happened at the encounter? Was it recorded? Parts of it were recorded, so it wasn't the entire thing. There were, like, a couple of small videos that were recorded. Did you allow him to record it? Yeah. All right. Did you have conversations about what he could do with those recordings? Yeah. And what were those conversations about? Well, I told him when, like, we did it, like, don't send this around to people, like, this is, like, private. Yeah. Now, again, this is incredibly imprecise language for this. Why? Holy fuck. I was so happy listening to her talk. Oh my god. Anyway, okay. And what did he tell you? And then the judge intervenes. Now, I want to give you some perspective, okay, in case this judge ever seems mean, okay? I just want to give you perspective. If you read any cases like this, okay, the defendants are unhinged men that are crazy. It'll be like, this girl broke up with me, so I sent videos of me coming on her face to all of her family members, all of her coworkers. I posted them online on porn websites. The defendants are, or like I recorded her, she didn't even know it, and I started sending it to her new boyfriend. That's like the types of people that are normally defendants in these cases. So in terms of like what you're seeing in this case, and the judge, you'll watch the judge start to realize more of this. I'm a pretty atypical case, right? My stuff got posted against my will, against my consent, out into the public. I didn't want any of this posted. All of our videos were recorded consensually. We talked about sharing them beforehand, right? This is a very atypical case, and you'll see the judge. Okay, kind of. So, well, I told him when, like, we did it, like, like, don't send this around to people,
I just never
like,
watched
this
it.
is, like,
I thought
private,
I heard it in something
also, keep in mind here, she doesn't mention whether or not I consent to Melina, my wife.
But...
And then her lawyer asks, and what did he tell you? And then the judge interrupts for a moment. The judge says, why would you allow him to record you? And then she says, so we were talking about it, like, ahead of time, mentioned it, like, that could be something that was, like, hot, I guess, I don't know. I mentioned, what is it? Wanting to show it to this is so embarrassing to talk about. I'm so sorry, give me a second. I remember I told him, like, when it came to, like, the sharing, like, is it, like, sorry, I'm, like, to show it to, like, the person that I was, like, currently in love with and stuff like that. He even expressed, like, oh, what if that person, like, shares it around? And I was like, oh, no, like, don't worry, like, we'll make sure that it's, like, very limited, like, it could just be my face. I trusted that he wouldn't send it around because we had so many conversations about consent and how I didn't want anybody else to know that we were sexual. It was a stupid decision. Why would you say it was a stupid decision? That is putting the onus on you. Looking back at it, it was very dumb of me to do, but I was also, I believe, 20 around the time. You were 21. How do you not know your age? All of this is a matter of our records. You can check. I only had one partner before him, and I really just, I thought I could trust him. I thought, okay, this isn't going to spread around. He's not going to do anything like that. We literally talked about this for hours before, about consent and the importance, so I just thought that it was, safe, and that it would be okay, and that was dumb. Okay, so the reason why I like hearing her talk about this so much was because, if I'm being totally honest, I don't remember, 100%, technically I should have said what this one, okay. I don't remember 100% conversations that I have in person with every single person, but I remember the gist of them, and I know, how they tend to go, right? So if I'm talking to a girl, and I've said this before, I'm talking to a girl, and, we're talking about recording stuff, and she says something like, oof, if this ever leaked, I don't know, man. I think it would be over for me. I would be so embarrassed. If somebody says something, I'm like, okay, we just won't record anything. It's not worth it. Or if you want to record, you can have it on your phone, My recollection would have been at the time for Pixie was essentially what she's saying here. Don't publish it publicly. Don't send it to every fucking person you know. But it's a relatively small thing, I had my wife at the time. She had her boyfriend at the time. I'd shown her videos of me and other people. This is basically this is our kind of arrangement that we've spoken about. And here, whether it was due to the imprecision of your language or she was distressed, she basically gives that same answer. And another huge issue here is that she labels her own decision-making as dumb. This is supposed to be my fault, not her making a dumb decision. So it's just a bad approach to this, in my opinion, but, who am I? And then the judge says, apart from your encounter, had you ever seen anything on his, live streams or streams that was sexual in nature? She says, he did talk about, personal relationships before. So this is another thing. He was in an open relationship with his partner Melina at the time, and he had he would talk on stream about the importance of boundaries and consent, and how you have to listen to your partners and be aware and smart about that stuff. So, and he also presents himself as leftist liberal, cares about women's rights, thinks about those things are important, respecting women. So all that information I had at the time where I made that decision was, oh, this guy really respects women. He really cares about consent. He really, he's very aware sexually about boundaries and stuff like that. There's no way that he's going to betray all those values. That's kind of a mean thing to do, such a thing. So that's what my impression was at the time. So she's trying really hard to play this stupid PR game of, oh, he's a leftist liberal who betrayed his values. This is for the Substack, honey, not for when you're trying to give accurate testimony and deposition. But again, what do I know? Her attorney asks, have you ever made any commentaries prior to your encounter about indicating that the posting of explicit materials is one of the worst things that you could do to someone? Her response, he definitely said that on the stream. I don't think that was before the encounter, but that was after the encounter. He had live streams where, these topics would come up because he's a political live streamer. So the topic would come up about, oh, what do you think about consent and doing this or that? And he did indicate on one of those live streams that that's one of the worst things you could possibly do to someone. My lawyer objects, objection, Your Honor, hearsay, and then, oh no, and then.
Uh-oh.
An objection is when the lawyer believes that a question is asked that the jury shouldn't have the right to know the answer to, right? Objection, they shouldn't ask this question because this is not relevant. There could be a million reasons why you call an objection. When you call an objection, the judge is the one that decides whether or not the jury shall have access to this record or the question shall be asked. The judge is supposed to make that call. So my lawyer calls for an objection. Objection, Your Honor, hearsay. And then Pixie goes, it's not hearsay. And then the judge interrupts her and says, I will decide if it's hearsay. It's overruled. Meaning the objection was overruled, he allowed the question to stand. But she tried to answer. Oh no.
You can't do that!
Anyway. By the way, this is what all the Kiwi farmers and legal and all these retarded Kiwi farmer lawyers, all of these people thought that this was going to be me, by the way. But anyway. Her lawyer. So, Miss Doe, at some point, was any of the content from your encounter, sexual encounter with Mr. Bunnell, circulated to your knowledge? And then Pixie says, publicly? Or, and then her lawyer says, well, how? Was it ever circulated in any fashion? And then she says, I sent it to my previous partner, and that was it. Now, I will say, I never knew this. I'd never known about this. I had no idea, no clue about it. Now, being honest, I will say, well, yeah, we talked about this. This was kind of the agreement. I would figure that if there are guys she's hooking up with or whatever, that maybe she would, that maybe she would share. Because that's what we recorded something for. I had no idea, though, until this hearing at this point in time, okay? And then her lawyer says, was there consent from Mr. Bunnell? And then the judge interrupts again. And the judge is like, what do you mean? I'm sorry, I misunderstood what your answer was. And then Pixie goes, my previous partner, my previous boyfriend, the one that earlier I mentioned when I did the encounter with Mr. Bunnell, I was like, oh, can I send it to the person that I'm currently, in love with? That would be the only person who would and then the judge interrupts again and he says, so did you send it or did he send it? And then Pixie goes, I sent it and I showed it to my previous partner. And then the judge says, and how did you get a copy of this? And Pixie says, he sent it to my phone. And the judge says, he sent a video to your phone? And then Pixie says, yes. And then the judge says, and then you forwarded it? And then Pixie says, yes. And the judge says, okay. And then her lawyer says, was that with Mr. Bunnell's consent? And then she says, yes. We never talked about it. Again, I didn't even know this. And she says, yes. Not only that, and I don't know if these will ever come up in the future court filings because I don't even know if this is even a real fucking case anymore, but one of the things that Pixie would tell me about her boyfriend a lot was that he got really jealous. The reason why we stopped hooking up or sexting at all, we only hooked up one time. The reason why we stopped sexting is because she said that her ex would get really jealous and stuff. So I had no idea that this guy who's super jealous of her hookups, and I don't even know if this guy hates me or not, has, 3 videos of us. I don't know that. But, hey, it's all Gucci, whatever. And then she says yes, and then her lawyer says, all right, did there come a time that Mr. Bunnell disseminated your video to any other individuals without your consent? She says, yes. He asks, all right, and when did he do that? She says, he apparently did this on multiple occasions. Unfortunately, there's like contention around like the exact date when he sent it to Rose. I thought it was October 4th. She's lying. But it could have been 2022. They're saying it was April 4th, 2022 or something along the lines. I'm not sure. The judge says, well, back up a step. When did you first learn of him transmitting anything? And then she says, oh, I learned that on the day after Thanksgiving, November 28th of 2024. The judge says, okay, and how did you learn it? And she said, because one of the people that he sent it to decided to publish my video and the video of multiple other partners to a website called QB Farms, and that website is known for also doxing and harassing people. And the judge said, and how did you learn of this? And Pixie says, because I started getting messages from a whole bunch of people and random strangers in DMs, and people started posting under my social media pictures of the video and like then telling me like, oh, you just got exposed to like, oh, I hope you know this, but your Destiny video got leaked out. Oh my God, like, yeah. And the judge says, okay. Now a question, now I don't know what the judge is thinking here, but again, if you're not an idiot, the big question here is, wait a second. Why aren't you suing the person who, now I'm not saying the judge is implying this at all, but like the question I think any reasonable person, and this is what both lawyers told Pixie before she found this current law firm, why aren't you suing the person who published this video online? Why are you, what? Why is that person not a party to this case? Hello? And she's fully admitting all of this as well, right? Now keep in mind, if this hearing feels rough so far, this is direct examination. Direct examination is just your own lawyer asking you questions to get stuff on the record. This should all be good for you, okay? All of this should help you as much as possible. All right. The judge says, okay. Her lawyer says, so that was in November of 2022 when you first found out? Oh, also, her lawyers have facts wrong, which is just totally inexcusable. She says, yes, no, sorry, 2024. Wait, why are we cuxing? Hello? Wait, everything looks good on my end. We're good? Okay. The judge says 2024, you said? Pixie says, yes, November 2024 is when I first found out that the video had been publicly disseminated. Her lawyer says, there's the, who is Rose? Pixie says, I wish I could tell you. I wish I knew who she was. I don't even know if the defendant knows who she is exactly because it doesn't seem like they ever met in real life. According to, like, the messages online, it seems like she was a 19-year-old girl, but he never verified her age, to my understanding. So the hacker who took control of the account, or whatever, claims that she was 17 at the time they started sexting and corresponding, and that's kind of all I know about her. I just know he never actually met her, and we don't actually know her age. Now again, why isn't this person in court? Why aren't we suing anybody involved with this? Why do you seem to know so much information about this person, but you didn't name them as a party to the case? Kind of weird. Yeah, and that's kind of all I know about her. I just know they never actually met her, and we don't actually know her age. Why does that matter here? This is, again, like you're just using the court... wait, hacked mic. Stuff is out of sync? Wait, is stuff fucked right now, or hello? Are we okay? Refresh if you desynced. Okay, refresh if you desynced. Her lawyer asks, as this issue has progressed, did you come to learn whether or not Mr. Bunnell had continued to share that explicit encounter without your consent? She said, yes. And what other occasions are you aware of that he shared it with other individuals without your consent? She says, after I spoke about this issue and what was happening, I found out that Abby MC apparently received a video of me in 2023. I got a couple of messages as well of people who said that they think that they received a video of me. One of those people said that they think that their sister received a video of me and that the sister recognized me from a video just a few months ago. But unfortunately, some of these people have deleted their accounts. Why the fuck did you not get affidavits and everything from these people before filing your suit? If you thought that these people were relevant, why would you not get affidavits? Why would you not get everything that you could about these people? But hey, you know, whatever. Andrew, objection, Your Honor. Last foundation, I'll scan hearsay testimony. Her lawyer responds, it goes to state of mind, judge, and this hearsay is admissible in this type of hearing. The judge says, well, I'm not admitting it for the truth, it's just for the perception at the time. And when did you learn of the second distribution? She says, the Abby or the person who said the sister? The judge says the first of those. She says, it was after January 20th, after the Substack was posted. That's when I started receiving people, or a few months after that.
Go away,
her lawyer
bro.
says, after you initially found out, after Thanksgiving, that this video had been uploaded to QB Farms, did you make efforts to contact Mr. Bunnell? She said, yeah, I basically, because I know that there was more than one video in that encounter, like I asked him if he sent anything more to other people. I was really paranoid, essentially, for the next few days that something else would come up that I wouldn't know about. He says, when was this conversation? The judge says, when was this conversation? Pixie says, it was the day of that I found out about the leaks. I texted him immediately. I was like, what's going on? Did you send this to anybody else? Like, how many other people are? Or is there anything else that I should be prepared for, basically? The judge says, this is in November of 2024. She says, yes. Her lawyer, when did Mr. Bunnell respond to you? Or what did Mr. Bunnell respond to you? Pixie says, he said something along the lines of, I'm so sorry, there's literally no excuse. I was fairly close to this person. If it makes you feel any better, literally no excuse. I'm so sorry. Her lawyer says, however, after that date, he continued disseminating. Pixie said, I will argue that, yes. What do you mean you will argue that? The answer is yes or no. My lawyer objection calls for speculation. The judge says sustained as to form. Her lawyer says, okay. So that discussion took place in when? November 2024, correct? She says, yes, November 28th of 2024. How does she know that exact date? Whatever. He says, all right. And the other individual who says that their sister received it approximately how long before January 20th, 2025? She says they said a few months before. They said like 2 to 3 months before, something along those lines. Her lawyer asks, and even after disseminating it to Rose, he had continued disseminating it thereafter, correct? She says, yes. He says, all right. Did at any time did Mr. Bunnell have a hyperlink to Kiwi Farms in the video? Andrew says, objection, vague and ambiguous. The judge is overruled. You can answer. She says, by hyperlink, do you mean like sending his followers there? Or the lawyer says, correct. Pixie says there was a Twitter post where he directly told everybody that they could still find the material on Kiwi Farms. So he did tell everybody, like, go to this website, find this material, basically. Now, just to be clear, and I hate how fucking disgusting she is. I hate how disgusting Pixie is. She's the grossest woman, the most disgusting, vile, putrid woman I've ever interacted with in my entire life, okay? My complaint was that everybody's making videos and complaining about all this shit, and my 29 videos, of which like 25 of these are still fucking jerk videos, are still hosted on Kiwi Farms. Everybody's talking about this, all my shit's publicly out there. And her interpretation of that is he basically told everybody to go to Kiwi Farms and find out, like, okay, thank you. That's exactly what I'm saying there. Thank you so much. Her lawyer says, when did he do that? She said he did that, I think, around February 20th. I'm not sure of the exact date, but I think it was around February. The judge says of 2025. She says yes. The judge says now prior to November 2024, had you maintained a relationship with him? She says prior, yeah, we were friends. He had this live election stream for the election, and I was there. We collaborated in kind of the same projects with his community. Yeah, we were friends. Her lawyer asks, how has the dissemination of this video impacted you personally? She says there's various stages to this. When the video first came out, I basically could not sleep. I had a lot of trouble sleeping at night. I was super anxious all the time. I was just waiting for somebody to, like, tell my parents or my family what happened. I would be crying constantly. I was super depressed. I was in a really bad state of mind. And at the time, one of my friends was like, oh, maybe you should, like, try to seek legal justice because that seems to be, like, something that's, like, really big on your mind. So I tried doing that. And then I was told that there was no guarantee of Jane Doe status and that if I didn't receive that, good luck. You know, people are going to harass my family potentially more or my, you know, just as a clear thing, I think this is a fucking lie. I think she asked a friend or something about this because the Jane Doe status is literally baked into the federal statute that she's suing me under. So I don't know who would have told her this. Now, I don't know if she'll say this in the hearing, but the one thing that she was told by two separate law firms, and I know this, but I only know this because of the leaked DMs between her and Aaron, because she hasn't turned over any of those to me, because she's not giving me anything in discovery, which is interesting. But in the leaked DMs to Aaron, she mentions two different law firms told her that she didn't have a case against me, that she should be suing the guy that leaked the videos. Just saying.
Yeah.
So she continues.
That's true.
So and I'm not saying that this was right or okay, but that's what my mindset was at the time. The original plan was basically for me to commit suicide and schedule a note for after I died, detailing what Stephen had done, and hoping that everybody would forever know what he did and be able to stay away from him and be able to be more wary and cautious. And it was only after essentially being on like suicide watch with my friends. I'm very lucky to have the friends that I have. They were constantly checking on me every day and making sure I was okay, and you know, basically convincing me, hey, don't do anything rash. At least do your best legally first, and then if that doesn't work out, you can figure it out later. But just try this option first before the life-ending one. And that's when I decided, okay, I'm going to try my best to go that route first and see what I can handle and everything. So just to be clear, this is extortion. I don't know if no one had told her this, but this is extortion. You can't come to me and say, I need you to give me $1 million or I'm going to kill myself and post a note about you to embarrass and humiliate you. That is textbook extortion in all 50 states. That is extortion. You can't do this. Well, I mean, I guess you can. I guess you tried. Also, just to be clear, because a lot of people are bringing up Aaron in chat, I think it's gross that Aaron was able to get back into every community and nobody cared or seemed to have any questions about it, and I think her political views are disgusting. That being said, okay, maybe I'm just a simple loser retard. Personally, I don't actually think Aaron interpersonally did anything wrong here besides trusting President Sunday with all the DMs. I do think Aaron was just looking out for everybody in the situation. I don't think that she was trying to be malicious.
Yeah,
I think she was genuinely looking out for Pixie as much as she could.
Trust
just for sharing
President
DMs
Sunday
with,
with dog shit.
With President Sunday, which is so fucking stupid. That's
Sunday is such a piece of shit.
Hold on a sec. Okay. Her lawyer asks, do you still receive, or are you still the subject of derogatory posts on social media as a result of this encounter with Mr. Bonnell? Now, also, just a couple things, and I think all these DMs are public now. I really don't like the way that Pixie talks about suicidality with her friends. In my opinion, it is incredibly contrived and carefully crafted, because in every suicide message she types to somebody, she always types, I think I'm going to kill myself, but don't worry, I'm not going to do it like now. It's probably going to be a month or two from now. And I feel like when she's saying that, she's saying it so that she can't be Brady-acted or whatever, so that she can't get interned or committed for 3 days or whatever at some suicide watch place. She's always saying, like, I'm going to kill myself, but don't worry, I'm not going to do it now. I'll wait until the holidays end. I've seen, like, 3 different messages where she types something. She's done it once to Aaron. She did it, I think, twice to, she did it twice with Kyla. She might have done it with me once. I don't know if she did that. I'm not suicidal right now. That, in my mind, that's crazy. Also, oh god, I need to do like MDMA for one of these streams. I wish I could cry right now. Okay, pretend I have tears streaming down my face. Okay, my best friend killed himself when I was 21 years old. That was a pretty fucked up moment in my life. Okay, laid down in some train tracks and let a train run over him and died. His name was Christopher Aguirre. It was Malvern, Iowa. You can read the story online. So it's kind of crazy to me. All right, if I was a crying person, okay, I would be invoking that trauma right now, and I'd be saying, oh my god, my best friend killed himself, and she was using the same language. Okay. Oh, and Reckful killed himself too. He was a friend of mine. But you know, just saying. It's already really. Okay. All right. Kaya, sit. Jesus. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. All right. He said, do you still receive or are you still the subject of derogatory posts on social media as a result of this encounter with Mr. Bonnell? She said, oh, absolutely. Although I will say that most of it is from Mr. Bonnell's community now. Not very good. He said, how has this impacted you? She says, I have like thousands of people online believing that I was not serious about suicide. I have thousands of people online saying that I was like a liar and that I'm lying about this case continuously, even though I would argue the opposite actually holds true. Obviously, the general feelings like depression and anxiety, and I fear like going outside, but I think the biggest one, like, I don't know, I still struggle with the suicidal thoughts sometimes. I'm getting help mentally, professionally, but what I see is like thousands of people basically claiming that I'm lying about how I feel and that I wasn't actually serious. Like, yeah, there is a little part of my brain that is like, maybe I should end it and stop the pain that I feel and just show everybody that I wasn't lying and that I am, and this is not okay. Oh, and then she starts crying at this point. And then her lawyer says, do you need a second? Would you like some water? She says, yeah, please, 1 sec. He says, we'll get you some water, Miss Doe. Are you okay to continue? She says, can I have like 1 minute, please? Her lawyer says, Your Honor, would you mind giving her a break? The judge says, you can take a 5-minute break. She says, thank you. And then, okay. Miss Doe, her lawyer, do you feel ready to proceed? She says, yeah. Did you have to have discussion with your family about the uploading of this video? She said, yeah. He said, what was this conversation like? She said, oh my gosh, I just got out of it. I'm like, okay, sorry, and then the judge said, well, the judge interrupts and he says, well, let me ask you this question. Do they know about your relationship with the defendant? I think she says yes here. It says no audible response. Maybe yes or kind of. And then the judge says, okay, and who all did other people know? And then Pixie says, there should have only been 2 people who should have known, my ex-boyfriend and Steven's ex-wife, Melina. And to be clear, I told him he could tell her, but I didn't say anything about showing her anything, but those are the only 2 people who should have. Now, big issue here. What? So earlier she said just not to send the video around. Then she said nobody should know about anything. Now she's saying, well, I told him that Melina could know, but Melina couldn't see the video. Remember, this is the core claim of really, truly all 4 of your acts, your civil causes of action here, especially your federal claim. How are you unclear about what the agreement or the arrangement is that you're coming to court to testify about? This is the most important. And also, keep in mind as well here, excuse me, you're saying that you and me recorded sexual material and I said that your boyfriend could look at it, but my wife couldn't? In what world would that ever be an arrangement? Bro, Melina would kill me. There's no world, and I would never make that arrangement because I would feel cut. Like, hold on, we're recording something where you can show this you want, and I can't even show my wife?
Give a
what?
Shit now, bro.
So dumb. What a dumb, horrible answer. But
y'all's divorced.
The judge says, now, let me ask you this question. You said you originally met him through online. Have you yourself had an online profile before? She said, at the first time I just started, I transferred universities, and it was a very big change. I didn't have a lot of friends in my university, so I was like, okay, I have a camera, I have a computer, maybe I can try making friends this way, online, just live streaming, talking, see who I connect with. The judge says, when was this? She says, it was around 2019 or 2020, so it was around 2019 or 2020, around there. Again, I don't know how she doesn't have all the dates for this memorized. This is your court case. Do you not care about any of this? Is this a joke to you? The judge says, okay. And what university were you going to at the time? She said, I was going to Fordham University, but I just transferred to University of Florida, Gators. The judge says, so you began engaging in online social media accounts, things of that nature? She says, yeah, I just kind of leaned into politics. I was like, these are the topics that I care about, that I think are important. And then people were like, those are important, or no, you're so wrong about this. The judge says, did you ever introduce your personal life into any of your videos or your posts? She says, not really, no. I mean, the only thing, Destiny, quick cube. Oh, P-break, shut up. The witness, she says, not really, no. I mean, the only thing I would talk about that would be somewhat personal would be, things relating to mental health and the importance of it, and how, I think it's not something talked about enough in society. But I wouldn't tell people this is the university I'm going to, or these are my name. I made sure I would not say that. Keep it super private because I know that with that information, people can do a lot of damage. Wait, hold on one second. Okay. Then the judge says, I was going to ask you that question actually. Did you post or submit things under your own name or under a moniker? She says, generally speaking, if not every single, all social media accounts, Pixie, I didn't want people, to know my real name, period. The judge says, okay, so back to counsel's question about you telling your family about your encounter with the defendant. She said, yeah, so basically, the way that conversation went is, my dad told me that he was disappointed at me, he was disappointed, and then I kind of had to stop him there and tell him, please, don't say anything else about, or anything else, because I promise you there's nothing that you can say that I haven't already thought of, or have told myself. So yeah, that's kind of how the conversation went. After that, my parents softened a little bit, because I think they could see that I was not in the best mental state, but yeah, it was really embarrassing. Her lawyer, minor sidestep, I guess for life advice, especially if you're listening to me and you're younger, make sure that you DM me. No, stop! Not an appropriate joke. Very inappropriate. If you're younger, if you ever get into some fucked up shit and you're actually facing some real trouble, either legal or interpersonal or some crazy shit, and you're worried that your parents are gonna get mad at you, I promise you, unless your parents are actual sociopaths, okay? I promise you, mom and dad will always be there to help you or stick up for you to keep you safe first and foremost, and it's always better to go to family or mom or dad rather than assume that they're not gonna be on your side and then risk fuck your whole life up, okay? Your parents will always thank you. If it's a super huge thing, they might not even punish you for it because they're happy enough that you came to them. Just saying, always keep that in the back of your mind. Don't hide life-destroying shit from your parents, even if you think they're gonna judge you, whatever. Assuming they're normal human parents that love you and care about you, which they do, even if they mean sometimes, or unless they're sociopaths, they will help you, okay? Don't always keep them, okay? All right. But not if you murder somebody. Yeah, Tyler Robinson went to his parents and they sold him out, so I guess if you murder somebody, don't tell them. I'm just kidding. Okay. All right. Her lawyer asks, going back to an earlier topic, you mentioned Kiwi Farms. After Mr. Bennell directed his followers to the content back on Kiwi Farms. Fuck you, OC. Fuck you, okay? Are you aware of how many people viewed it or how many people accessed that site? My lawyer said, objection calls for speculation. Her lawyer says, if she knows. The court says, I'll sustain it based on lack of foundation. Her lawyer says, all right. Her lawyer said, did you at any time go back to Kiwi Farms to determine whether or not how many views that video had obtained in a certain period of time? My lawyer says, the same objection, Your Honor. And then the judge says, you haven't established a predicate. The judge says, when were you first alerted that there might have been a posting or an uploading on what is Kiwi Farms, like another Instagram kind of thing? I think when it says establish a predicate, so you can't just ask a question without any kind of lead up to establishing why the question is relevant or whatever. You have to set up the question first. I believe. I don't know all the objection rules. You can go Civ Pro as a class, whatever the case for a reason. Go look all this up in your own time, okay? All right. Pixie, OC is opposing counsel also, sorry. The opposition's lawyers, opposing counsel is OC, sorry. Pixie says, the witness, it's like a website, it's an online forum. The judge says, okay. Pixie says, basically, a bunch of people anonymously post there. Usually they have threads targeting individuals to like harass and dox them. And Destiny has his own thread of people there posting negative information about him. The judge says, okay. And then Pixie continues to yap. And he was aware that this website existed, and he was also aware there was a thread about him. And the only reason I bring that up is because it's insane to me that, that you have like a dedicated group of people who just want to harm you or are trying to find out every single bit of your personal life, and that you're just disseminating out pornographic content of others without consent, privately, whatever, knowing that these group of people exist out there. But that's a side note. I first found out on November 28th, we're basically the same day, essentially. That's when everybody was like, oh, Kiwi Farms has your stuff, Kiwi Farms has your stuff, Kiwi Farms has your stuff. The judge says, so it was contemporaneous with you finding out the first time? She says, yes. The judge says, got it. She says, I do want to note that the website gained so much traction that it crashed repeatedly, to my understanding, to my knowledge. By the way, that crash was because of my blowjob videos, my gay videos, not because of anything with Pixie, but, nobody even really knew about that outside of like a few unhinged people on Kiwi Farms, but that's okay. Andrew says, move to strike your honor, Lex Foundation. Her lawyer asks, how is it that you know that? She says, I know that because the owner of the website made a public posting saying Destiny's BJ video is getting so many views that the website crashed. Not the gay one, not the one with Pixie. I don't know. She tries to make it sound like that, but whatever. He says, where was that? Well, I should say the bi one because I'm not gay. Okay. He says, where was that posted? She says, that was posted on Twitter. The judge says, so you found out about the Kiwi Farms connection on November 28th? She says, yeah. Then her lawyer asks, when was it posting by the owner of the site? She says, about it being crashed. And then he says, yes. And then she says, it was a few days after. I can't recall the exact date. I just remember seeing it a few days after and being like, oh my God, everybody knows. She knows that this was not about her. I think Noel's tweet, somebody can go find it. I think Josh's tweet might even specifically reference that it was the gay video, but okay, whatever. Her lawyer asks, are you familiar with a Google Drive that Mr. Bunnell has with this explicit video of your encounter with him? My lawyer objects, Lex Foundation. The judge overrules it. She said, so I know he had, and I know Abby said that she had received an explicit material of me through the Google Drive. I know he had a Google Drive, or apparently he would upload a bunch of other people's, including him, but like pornographic content without their... The judge says, how do you know this? She says, I know this because the leaker... Well, I know this for a couple of reasons. I know this because the leaker posted messages where Destiny is sending Google Drive links to Rose, to the girl. So there's messages of Destiny being like, oh, if you want to see this video, here's a Drive link, here's a link, here's a link. And the judge says, and you got that from who, Rose? She says, yeah, the person who took control of Rose's account leaked all the messages between Destiny and her, and that's included there. First of all, it's not all the messages, but okay. I also know this because multiple women afterwards came out and told me, oh, I received pornographic content about other people, and now I realize that content was probably without consent using these links. And I know that because Destiny himself has stated, and at that time, I thought anything he uploaded there was with the consent of other people, but now I realize that's not the case. Early on, he sent me a Google Drive link or mentioned one, so yeah, so those are the ways that I found out. So like all of this is just like not related to any of this at all, but okay. The judge says, so when is the first time you found out about the Google Drive link? Also, this is really bad too, because it wasn't until afterwards when I went back and I was reading the messages, I didn't send any video of Pixies through a Google Drive link. It was just a media attachment on Discord. So this whole legal theory that they were flirting with here is all bunk, but they bring it up a lot because they want, obviously, to lean into this as much as they can. When is the first time you found out about the Google Drive link? The judge asks. She says, I can't remember the exact date because he deleted all of our messages, but I do remember that he sent me one of Melina, like a file with Melina through the Google Drive, and I assumed like, okay, like, he's sending me this, whatever. And the judge says, and when was that? And she says, when was that? That was before I think our first sexual encounter, but I honestly can't recall the exact date. That was before, you think it was before the sexual encounter? You don't know? Remember this answer, it's going to be brought up later. And then her lawyer asks, and Melina was who? And then she says, his ex-wife. And then the judge interrupts again. The judge's interruptions. I'm almost crying. Not even joking. I'm almost crying as the judge is asking questions because I'm like, thank God, like I'm not crazy. And I didn't come to this hearing, like, because the whole internet and all of Kiwi Farms and all these fake lawyer fucks, the esports Batmans, the legal mindsets were all saying one thing. I'm like, there's no way, right? These people are crazy, right? And they are. So the judge stops and he's like, so he sent you a video of his ex-wife before your encounter with him? And she says, from my memory and recollection. And then the judge said, didn't that give you pause then to allow him to tape you? And she says, no, because I thought, like, Melina, the way that she was also described to me, and my understanding of her, was that her and Steven were in a super sexually liberated relationship, that they were, like, super open with each other, and that they were super open about sex, and, that they didn't really, like, care about that stuff, but that they were also very respectful about boundaries because open relationships can't work without the proper set of boundaries and understanding. Is this like a slut-shaming argument against Melina? I don't even know what the fuck we're going with here, but okay. And the judge said, and you got this information from who? And she says, Steven. And the judge says, okay. And then she says, so I was, and again, like, the only person I was with before Steven was my former boyfriend. So I just thought, like, oh, this is just something I don't have a lot of knowledge on, but he seems very experienced and understanding. And we've had so many of these conversations about consent. She loves using this word over and over. Consent, consent, consent. Like it's like we're on the internet, and every time you use consent, it makes everything like rape, basically. But she uses the word so much. Like, yeah, I was just under that impression that everything was going to be consensual. And her lawyer asks, did Mr. Bunnell ever state to you that he was going to make efforts to take down the videos from Kiwi Farms? She said, yeah. He said that he was hired a legal firm to aid him in that, yeah. And then her lawyer asks, to your knowledge, do the videos still exist on Kiwi Farms? She said, I believe so. And then her lawyer says, okay. And during the course of the pendency of this case, has Mr. Bunnell dodged you by attempting to publish your name on any of his streams? She said, yes. And she said yes. And he said, and how did he do that? She said, I think it was the 19th of February. Even though he never, even in real life, he did not call me by my real name. He called me Pixie because that's an effort that I went to when it came to my streaming friends or my content creator friends, like refer to me as Pixie, Pixie, Pixie. That's how rarely I use my name, even whenever he referred to me for the first time ever as my real name. Now, this is true. However, the protective order wasn't issued until the 20th of February. Again, if you want to sue me in big boy court, okay, well, let's not be Pixie and Destiny. We'll be our real names. Like, yeah, well, you're filing a federal public case against me, sure. But now once the protective order got filed, it's like, oh, okay, then I won't do this, I guess, since we shouldn't do it, yeah. The judge said, and when was this? She said, this was, I believe, February 19th and 20th. Like he uploaded another video in another channel called Last Night on Destiny or whatever on the 20th, but I believe his live stream was the 19th. Her lawyer says, okay, the video that was shared of you, did it include a depiction of intimate sexual content that you were involved in? She said, yes. Wait, sorry, can you repeat that question? He said, yes. Did the video that was shared by Mr. Bonnell of you and him involve intimate sexual contact? She said, yes. He said, all right, you indicated that it was also shared with Miss Mack without, Miss Abby Mack, MC, I think, without your consent. Oh, he's saying like Maker Mack. Do you know if Abby Mack was outside the state of Florida? Yeah, she lives outside the state of Florida. Do you know what state she lives in? I can't remember off the top of my head right now. They don't want to say, by the way, because they're helping her dodge subpoena, by the way. She still is continuing to dodge and hasn't been deposed, hasn't given any testimony, continues to avoid us. But, okay. She said, yeah, I'm sure. I think she just moved out of Texas. That's why I'm not sure exactly what state. But we had conversations before where I know 100% that she's not in Florida. At the time that the video was shared with her by Mr. Bonnell, do you know if she was living in Texas? I think so, because I think she was, but I can't say for sure. Andrew says, objection, calls for speculation, and it lacks relevance. Judge says, overruled. She doesn't know, bottom line is the answer. Her lawyer says, did you consent to the disclosure of the video at any time to Mr. Bonnell? She said, disclose, like Mr. Bonnell to send the video to other people? He said, correct. And then she said, no. So now her answer here is, before it was like, don't send it around. Before I could tell Melina about it, I guess, but not show her. And now it's like, no, cannot send it to anybody ever. Yeah, just having her give like separate different answers to this is just like crazy to me. I don't know how she doesn't have one super strict, like well-prepared understanding. Remember, this goes to the core of her federal claim against me. Is it still direct examination? Yes. Wait, do Catbox files not open in Europe?
Oh, that's right. He's in Europe.
I can't open this. Somebody said apparently Noel had said goblin cock about me, and that's why the website went down. So it was about the gay video, not the, yeah. Destiny, she was going to say not exactly. Oh, maybe. Maybe she was going to say not exactly, but instead she said no. Maybe. Okay. Her lawyer asks, okay, I don't have any further questions at this time. Your Honor, thank you very much. The judge says, thank you. Cross-exam? Andrew comes up. Thank you, Your Honor. My king, okay? Good morning, Miss Doe. Good morning. When you first started communicating with Mr. Bonnell online, you quickly, the court said, since we don't have a reporter, introduce yourself to the microphone for me. Andrew says, I'm sorry, I'm Andrew Bretler. I represent the defendant Stephen Bonnell, Burke Bretler, LLP, in Los Angeles. Andrew, Miss Doe, when you first started communicating with Mr. Bonnell online, your conversation turned sexual at a pretty early point in your relationship, correct? I don't think so. I think it was a couple of months. Maybe you guys have the messages. He deleted all of mine, so I can't say 100% for sure, but I don't think it was pretty quick. Just to be clear, I can't delete her messages. That is not true. I can go right now on Discord and look, her messages are all still there. I don't know why she lies about this several times. She lies over and over and over and over and over about this. I can bring up on Discord. Hold on. Well, I don't want to show anything because I don't know if there's like information that can't be published. But yeah, all of her messages are still here. So I don't know why she keeps saying this. I don't know why. I don't know why she says this. He deleted all mine, so I can't say 100% for sure, but I don't think it was pretty quick. Andrew says, on March 17th, 2020, at 5 o'clock in the morning, you sent a message to Mr. Bonnell stating, I took some videos with a guy. I can send you later if you're interested. Also, do you recall sending that message to Mr. Bonnell? I don't recall, but I'm going to assume that the message exists. And in response, Mr. Bonnell said, yes. At 5:01 a.m., you wrote, okay, I'll send them to you when I get home. Happy face. Heart. Do you recall sending that message? I don't recall, but I assume it exists. You don't recall sending him a video of somebody else? I recall my former boyfriend, who I would refer to as that guy, didn't want me to send videos of us, like, experimenting and stuff like that. I can't verify, like, the specificity of the messages because I don't have those messages. Wait, so her boyfriend didn't give? Wait, how did I miss this? Or maybe I wasn't... By the way, they haven't made him available for deposition either, because we've asked for him, because I would like to depose him and ask him questions about, like, just curious, did you know that Pixie was sending videos of you guys, banging to famous streamers online? Do you have any idea about that? Did she talk to you about this? Did she talk about sending, I'm just curious. Interesting that she says here that he didn't consent to that. You didn't miss this before you mentioned it after court. Oh, maybe. Okay, maybe it's been wiped from my mind. I can't verify, like, the specificity of the messages because I don't have those messages. The judge says, do you remember sending him of a video of some sexual encounter? Pixie says, yes. Andrew said, and I'm also getting there, Your Honor. Mr. Bonnell offered to send you videos of him and his wife if you wanted them. Do you recall that? Yes. Do you recall responding at 5:03 a.m. on March 17th, 2020? I'm open to anything you want to send me. You know I'm a super curious person. I think he is asleep, so you might have to wait for my videos until tomorrow. Do you recall sending that message? Again, I can't say specifics, but I'll assume it exists. Yes. Do you recall asking Mr. Bonnell, is there any particular photo or position you'd want to see me in? I assume that message exists, but I'm a little confused about what this line of questioning, like, do you recall saying to Mr. Bonnell, I'm with my guy friend right now, I can probably get a photo of me sucking him off, if you think that would be hot. I assume that message exists, but I don't know if I'm overstepping my boundaries here or whatever. What does that have to do with Mr. Bonnell sending my video to other people that I didn't know? Miss Doe, do you recall on January 3rd of this year, January 3rd of 2025, where you posted online, I have never sent videos of other people to Stephen, ever. 1. I remember sending that to Dan Saltman in a private DM, and the context of that was Dan claiming that everybody in the sphere was non-consensually distributing materials of other people. So that was the context where I was thinking, like, no, the guy I had, my former boyfriend's consent, the only one person I was with before, moved to strike as non-responsive. My question, Miss Doe, was, do you recall texting or posting online on January 3rd at 10:37 p.m.? I have never sent videos of other people to Stephen, ever. I remember messaging Dan privately. It's very different than a social media post. Yes? Yes. The answer is yes. Move to strike everything after yes. I don't know if this means she said more here and it's just not on the transcript. I don't remember if she said more here. The answer is yes. Move to strike everything after yes. That wasn't a true statement, was it, Miss Doe? No, it wasn't. And then the judge stops. And who is this character? Dan. What is his name? Dan Saltman is one of the best friends of Destiny, who's also a business partner with Destiny. They run a podcast together. He was going online claiming that everybody had done what Steven had done, and that's when I messaged him.
I hear.
So you're responding to him, the judge asks. If it's stricken, it's not their Destiny. Okay. Sometimes she yaps a lot, and then my lawyer, Andrew, will just say, so the answer is this, strike everything from the record after. So I don't know if that shows up here or not. I just thought those moments were very funny. I wish I could do that in a debate so much. This hearing was one of the things, and that line about Hitler book was like, dude, court, where you have to ask and answer like in a straight line of questions, and you can't pivot or divert or anything else. Oh my God, it's so nice. So the judge stops and asks, so you're responding to him, Dan Saltman. Pixie says, because I saw him on a podcast or on a stream, and he was making those claims. And this was the 3rd, right? January 3rd? Can you confirm that? She asks Andrew. No? Okay. My lawyer doesn't have to give her anything. Doesn't have to help her at all. And she's like trying to get help on the stand because she's... So the judge asks, what was the date of the communication? And so the judge asks, the judge can ask questions, okay? So the judge asks my lawyer, what was the date of the communication? And Andrew says, January 3rd, 2025, Your Honor. It's funny, it's actually a little bit like poker. You can ask a player, if you want to put them all in, what's your stack? What's your count? Sometimes we'll ask players to see how they answer. You can get information about how nervous they are, but the player doesn't have to actually answer you. You can ask, like, did you fold? Do you have 2 cards? Did you bet? How many chips you got? The player doesn't have to answer at all. You can ask the dealer, could I get a count of his chips? And the dealer can count them for you and tell you. So it's kind of funny, there's like a similar setup here, but. So Pixie then continues, yeah, so this was still before I made my Substack, basically. I was still in a state of denial between when I first found out and between when I made my Substack. I was trying to downplay what happened as much as possible, claimed that no, like, everyone's just confused, everyone's just wrong. The judge says, let me ask you this question. Prior to this point, had you already been engaging online with others about your problem? She says, yes. The judge says, how often? She says, to the people who would randomly send me DMs being like, this is you, I would try my best to, like, deny it. The judge says, no, but on an online platform, in other words, on a more public platform. She says, oh, on a more public platform? No, I did not. I did not claim, make statements about it being me or anything like that. By the way, that's also a lie because she was posting about it in Spicy Chat and maybe other Discords, but I know at the very least in ChatLogic's Discord, she was posting comments about it there. But the judge says, okay. Andrew says, my lawyer, going back in time, do you remember when you messaged Mr. Bunnell in March of 2020? Did you get the video? I'm also open to any videos you want to send me in general. LOL. Objection, her lawyer says. Asked and answered. Relevance. The judge says overruled. Andrew says,
everything about it is icky.
As I said before, I assume.
Everything about it is icky.
Andrew says, okay, and you recall telling Mr. Bunnell after he expressed that he enjoyed watching your video,
just don't be sending
it felt really
nudes
good
of
when he was
people
being
to
done
other
and making sure I was a
people.
good
Just
girl
don't
for
do
him.
that.
And then her lawyer, objection, Your Honor, relevance. There's no doubt that this
It's
took place.
a bad idea.
The judge says, overruled. She says, yeah. Andrew says, do you recall responding that way? She says, I assume it exists. He says, okay. And do you recall telling Mr. Bunnell also around that time, haha, that's the whole thing, but I have another video of me fucking in lingerie that won't send through here. And no worries, we can talk more about it tomorrow. She says, I assume it exists. He says, do you recall asking Mr. Bunnell also in March of 2019, do you have anywhere else you think the videos could send to? She says, I assume it exists. He said, my lawyer asks, you inquired whether or not he could send the videos to you via Instagram. Do you recall that? She says, yes. He asks, it was your idea, Miss Doe, to make a sexually explicit video with Mr. Bunnell, correct? She says, that I'm not completely sure of. He asks, on March 19th, 2020 at 5:12 in the morning, and then the judge stops again. The judge says, I thought you said that he suggested it. Did I misunderstand that? She says, no, I'm pretty, well, again, I don't have the messages. That's a lie. I don't have the messages, so it's pretty hard for me to recall exactly. I remember him sending me something of Melina's earlier on, and remember earlier she said, I don't know if it was Melina before or after we hooked up. Now she's saying it was before, okay? I remember him sending me something of Melina's earlier on, and me assuming, do you want to make videos together as a response to that? But again, I don't have the messages. I can't recall perfectly, but that's, and then the judge says, it's possible that you brought up the topic of recording with him. And she says, it's possible. And the judge says, okay. Then my lawyer says, not only is it possible, but on March 19th, 2020, at 5:12 in the morning, do you recall sending a message to Mr. Bunnell? It's going to be so nice when you do, ? Would you want to make some videos together? And Mr. Bunnell responding at 5:13, 1 minute later, if you want to, yeah, for sure. Do you remember that exchange? She said, yeah. And I remember before that was when he sent the stuff about Melina, but yeah, continue. And then Andrew says, so does that impact your testimony at all? That it was Mr. Bunnell's idea to make the video? Or do you now realize that you were the one that first raised the idea about making videos together? She says, what I claimed was that he sent me Melina stuff, and as a response to that, I was like, oh, do you want to make stuff together? Because I thought him sending Melina stuff was like, oh yeah, he's into recording stuff. My question was, does it refresh your recollection that it was your idea to actually suggest making a video with Mr. Bunnell? I'm trying to think of how to phrase this in a way that makes sense. If I'm like, all right, I'll use this analogy. If I have a cup of water and I drink it, and I'm like, oh my God, water is really cool. I love water. Water's awesome. And you go, oh hey, do you want some water? Because you keep, you sat here talking about water. Is it, okay, I'm not sure how to phrase this. The way that the judge interrupts her, and he says, well, is it safe to say that you're not sure whether it was your idea or his initially? And she goes, yeah, because, and the judge says, that's fine. Next question. Andrew asks, the next question is, do you recall sending Mr. Bunnell a subsequent message saying, do you want to take videos when we do stuff together? I think I'd really like one of you coming in me. She said, I assume that's true. And then the judge interrupts and goes, so this is in March 2020 or 2019? And then my lawyer responds, 2020, Your Honor. And the judge says, okay. So then the first video that you had with him is sometime thereafter, I take it? And then Pixie says, yes. And the judge says, okay. And then my lawyer asks, do you recall after the video was published on Kiwi Farms that you told Mr. Bunnell that it's not clear that it's your face or anything like that, and you're 100% denying that it's you in the video? Hold on. Okay. Do you recall? Okay, where were we? Okay, so then the first video that you had with him is sometime thereafter, I take it. The judge asked. She said yes. The judge says, okay. Then my lawyer asked Mr. Bretler, oh, yeah. Oh, wait. Do you recall that the video was published? Okay, that you denied 100% denying you. And then Pixie says, oh, yeah, I was in complete denial. I was like, oh, well, maybe people can't see my face. My face is clear as day in that video. And then she says, do you recall telling Mr. And then the judge interrupts again. And the judge says, when did you tell him this? I'm sorry, when was this exchange? And Pixie says, I believe immediately after I was getting messages from everybody telling me that I was in the video. And the judge says, so sometime in November or early December? And she says, yeah. And then Andrew answers, November 29th, Your Honor, the day after she claims to have identified the video. And then he asks, do you recall, Ms. Doe, that following the publication of the video on Kiwi Farms, that you created what's called a Substack page where you talked about this matter? And then she says, yes. And then the judge says, what's a Substack page? And then Pixie says, Substack is basically like a platform. It's kind of a social media platform where people post more like longer articles or statements or things of, I would even argue more of an academic nature than other platforms. The judge says, so it's not like for videos, it's for more articles or writings? She says, yes, yes. And he says, okay, and is this public? She says, yes. And he says, and do you create a profile just like you would for Instagram or something? She says, yes. And then my lawyer asks, and on your Substack page, you notified the world, or all of your followers at least, that have access to your Substack page about the existence of this video, correct? Somebody in chat said, looks like the judge is trying to make a timeline of events with dates. Yes, so one of the issues that I brought up like 8 months ago, there are these two concepts of like proximate harm and foreseeability, right? Let's say, for instance, that I leave a firearm. Let's say that I have a loaded firearm and I leave it in my house, okay? And let's say that a very close personal friend of mine, Empath Chan, okay, finds this gun, goes out and shoots and murders a bunch of people, okay? If that were to happen, I'm not liable at all for that. It's my house. Sure, it's a loaded gun, but like this is not like, that's, foreseeability is zero. That's not, I didn't do this. And the proximate harm is she's the one that was the closest to causing that particular harm, right? That's on her completely. Now, let's say in another world, let's say that I load a firearm, okay, and I go to visit my girlfriend who's currently in daycare, okay, because that's how young I love them, all right? And let's say that I drop this gun off, I just like put it in the middle of the floor while all these like 7-year-olds are playing with each other, and let's say that I walk away, right? Now in that case, I think proximate harm might be on the child that picks up the gun and shoots somebody, okay, but for foreseeability there, well, it should be highly foreseeable that if I leave a loaded gun in front of a bunch of kids, that like someone's gonna pick up the gun and do something horrible with it and kill people. So like I could be held more liable there. So foreseeability, proximate cause, these like types of concepts are really important when it comes to establishing fault or when it comes to establishing liability for particular damages. One of my biggest claims from the very beginning of this case is basically all of the liability, I would argue, I was in court, all of the liability is on Solo. This guy took these videos and posted them online. Nobody else did but him. He's the guy who would be, in terms of like harm or damages, it's all on him, right? You have a very, very, very hard time using a foreseeability argument here, and we'll get into this in the later part of this, trying to say that, well, hold on, you should know that if you send a video to somebody, it could leak, because wait a second, if that's going to be your argument that I should have foreseen that, then you should have foreseen that when you and me recorded stuff, you know? So it's a very, very, very difficult dance that they have to play here with arguments of foreseeability related to me, because they're going to have to try to make an argument that makes me liable that doesn't also spill over onto her. That's a very challenging thing to do, I would think, in a case like this. Now, that's assuming that they win, that the jury finds me liable and everything else, but that's a very, very difficult thing they're trying to walk. But that's also why, in my opinion, I think that's why they obfuscate on the timelines, on who leaked what, on who had permission for what, is because they're just trying to make all of it sound the same. That's why Pixie's Substack, she also wrote, I would say, with Lauren Hayden's guidance. Now, they haven't any proof of that, but they also haven't turned over any discovery related to her. Thanks, by the way. I think that Lauren Hayden was the one trying to float these arguments to her, but I don't think that that is a, I just don't think that's a legal argument. Some people are saying it's lagging. Some people are saying it's lagging. I see no lag on my end at all, and usually I'll see drop frames if it's fucking up on my end, so. Oh, no, wait, it is a little bit on Kick. So actually, hold on, Kick is reconnecting, hold on. Wait, Kick's not down, is it? Wait, people are putting F in YouTube chat. Oh shit, it's down there too, fuck.
Oh, yeah, his, I guess this is where his kick went down. Film yourself if you don't want it getting out. There's no way to 100%
Wait, are we here on YouTube? Hello?
You won't get out, but at the very
Oh.
least, leave the bed folks alone. Look,
Fuck.
if you
Did I say my
trust
YouTube stream or is it totally
somebody,
Hello, hello?
go for it.
Yeah, YouTube
If
is
you
good.
really trust somebody,
Wait, did it
you
totally
have
drop my
a
thing? Do I have to do like a whole new stream or is it good?
prior,
It survived.
like,
Oh my god, it survived.
well-established relationship, that's different.
Okay. Okay. I'm in the French part of Switzerland. So they don't believe in internet. Down in these parts. Wait, this one.
Empath Chin? I don't know who that is.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm killing my Kick for now. Because I don't think I have the bandwidth for both.
You trust them, but I'm just saying, anytime you film, there's no way to 100% guarantee it won't get out. Yeah. That's sad.
Are we alive? I'm chilling. I'm waiting. Hold on. We okay? Okay. Dude, I almost broke my controller. Okay, I have like 2 big-ass batteries now for my laptop, so I can play games while I'm flying. I was trying to kill Simon on the flight, and it's just a laptop that's not plugged in is like a little bit laggy, and like having the shit lag while I'm also trying to parry, I was like ready to break my shit. I was getting so fucking triggered. What are you doing in Europe? Tomorrow I have a debate with Mohammed Hijab in the great country of Bong, Oxford.
Pamela Anderson and Tommy Lee. True.
I also like to visit. I like to visit my European brothers so that I can make fun of Americans so much more. Because you guys just have people in America have no idea how crazy good you guys have it. You have no clue. Americans are so fucking spoiled, and they talk about like unaffordable housing and everything. Meanwhile, you go to like any European place of living, and it's like radiator. You're like, dude, where's the thermostat? And they're like, thermo what? Is that an American word? And I'm like, the thing that changes the temperature. And they're like, sorry, we have a fire that burns inside of pipes that kind of heats up part of the apartment sometimes. I'm like, what? And they're like, your country has no history. And it's like in Europe, the history is their like living facilities. Okay, every building is like 150 years old. You know when they say like in America your stuff falls down like that, it's because our shit is new and we build it so that we can take it down and put a new shit we want to. Their stuff is old and it sucks. Okay, it sucks. All of their bathrooms, all their amenities, it's like all these old knobs and shit that you have to twist and turn, and it, like nothing is like, God, everything in America is just Kino. It's just Kino. All right, absolute Kino. The worst is when you're in the UK and you have to wash your hands. It's one of the reasons why these guys burn so many more calories is because there's 2 taps. There's one for cold water, because that's the safe drinking water, and there's one with hot water, but there's probably a bunch of like dead rat corpses in the hot water tank. So you have to turn both on at the same time, so you don't burn your hands. You have to have the cold water here to protect you from the hot water, but you need to get the hot water. So you have to do like this. So you go, you got to do like this. You wash your hands. So you like soak a little bit, and then you do get like the cold and hot mixed, and it's crazy. Okay, I'm sorry. Anyway, I'm back. The judge says, let me back up. When did you first create the Substack profile? Oh, wait. No, I'm sorry. Hold on. Andrew, on your Substack page, you notified the world, or all your followers at least, that have access to your Substack page about the existence of this video, correct? She says, I think notified kind of implies that they realized for the first time, and I don't think that's true at all. The judge says, let me back up. When did you first create the Substack profile? And she says, honestly, I can't remember, because I remember I created one a long time ago, because I was like, oh, maybe I want to start writing articles. I'll have it, but I'm not sure if that's the same account I created for this posting, so I can't really remember when. The judge says, okay, and can one make it public, or is it private, or is it automatically public? She says, you can actually do both. You can create private articles, save them in drafts, or you can publicize them. The judge says, and the one that relates to this after November 28th, did you make it public or private? Now, again, I can't speak to the judge's state of mind, okay? I'm not trying to put thoughts in his head, but my guess here is when somebody files one of these cases and they file as a Jane Doe, it's humiliating, okay? You don't want the whole world to know that there's porn images of you or porn videos of you on the internet. Most plaintiffs in these cases file under a Jane Doe because they don't want that shit to be out there publicly. And having somebody file as a Jane Doe, but also be making a ton of public writings attached to their entire online persona and attached to like videos of them and images of their face, that's incredibly strange, okay? It's a very weird thing to do. It's not very typical in these cases. So Pixie says, I made it public. And the judge says, okay. Andrew says, it was before you filed your lawsuit that you made it public, correct? She said, yeah, but I do want to point out, I feel like the claim, like, made it public. It was already public information. Like, what happened that day was 2 people. I'll start here. I found out that my best friend, and then Andrew says, Your Honor, there's no question pending. And the judge says, well, I'll let her answer. Go ahead. Andrew says, okay. Pixie yaps. I found out that my best friend had betrayed me and was sending my private messages with her regarding the situation to random other people online. And then those people, who I did not know, decided to make YouTube videos with those messages. And those YouTube videos were of defamatory nature. They claimed that I took hush money and that I was extorting Stephen and that I do not care about other victims. They were gaining tens of thousands of videos, or tens of thousands of views. At this point, on top of the YouTube videos, previous to me publishing the Substack, accounts with tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of followers were publicly making fun of me on Twitter. They were, you know, Pixie, ew, your sex tape got leaked. That's quite the L. A whole bunch of stuff. So it was after the combination of having these accounts, making fun of me over the tape, and then having the YouTube videos that were getting tens of thousands of views of my private messages lying about me, that I felt compelled to publish my Substack and clarify that no, I didn't take hush money. I was not extorting Stephen, and I do care about other victims. So that's why I take issue with the whole idea of, you know, oh, you publicized it because it was already public. People were already talking about it. I just said the truth and defended myself. So as a thing here, Pixie is lying about this because in President Sunday's video, you can see in their leaked DMs that 7 days at least prior to her publishing the Substack, she already had that full Substack written out. Now, in the operative complaint and in her original complaint, operative means the currently active one or the first one, whatever. In her original complaint and the amended complaint and in statements she's made publicly, Pixie keeps claiming that she had to publish this Substack publicly because of all the other videos that had went live about her. But if you look at the leaked DMs in President Sunday's video, she had already had that full Substack written out a week earlier. She was always planning on publishing it. That's a lie that she tells in this hearing, and it's a lie that she tells in multiple court filings. The judge says, were you concerned, though, that by doing that, you were only making the story even bigger? Because then more people would try to find your video. So now remember, the judge is asking this because in most of these cases, the plaintiffs are not trying to publicize every single thing about them online. That's crazy. Most women find this stuff humiliating. They don't want everybody to know who they are, that their face is like attached to things, that like it's just very atypical. She says, I thought about that, and that's why I specifically put 2 things. I put nudes because I thought people were less likely to search up the video, but then on top of that, it was already in motion. What do you mean, put nudes?
I need a quick break, guys. I'll be back in like 10-ish minutes. I'll see you all in a second. I think I am actually going to stop it here for now and take a break. And then come back tonight for the longer stream and keep going. Just, dealing with some stuff. But tonight we got our Monday jams, so that'll be fun. And, we'll enjoy that. And then we'll keep looking at this and catch up on the Mizkif stuff. So I will see you guys later. Everybody have a beautiful day.